Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and this clip, which is an older clip, was going around this morning, and I wanted you to see it. This is Brian Brics, who's one of the smarter people in crypto, and listen to him teach this congressman a lesson.
The American dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States of America. That's a fair statement, I think. Cryptocurrencies seem to be backed by the people who hold cryptocurrency. Is that a fair statement?
I don't think so, actually. I think I probably disagree with both of those statements.
Okay. Explain, please.
Okay. So, sure. So what's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States is U.S. debt. Okay. A dollar bill is not U.S. debt. A dollar bill is just a unit of exchange you use to buy things with. If you look at what's happened in monetary policy over the last 12 months, the U.S. has increased the M2 money supply by 40%, which inherently devalues the amount of the purchasing power of the dollar. You saw that in the inflation reports that were in this morning's newspapers. So that's an example of the dollar not being backed by the full faith and credit. It's backed by American monetary policy at any given moment. So there's that.
Cryptocurrency, if you look quickly.
Right. So cryptocurrency, again, put Bitcoin aside just for a moment. What cryptocurrency is about is the belief that a particular network will gain adoption. So it's when you buy an Ethereum token, an ETH token, that's like saying, I believe this network, which is a smart contract protocol for building financial applications, basically apps like on your cell phone, is going to have value. So if you think Google stock has value because you think internet traffic is going to go up and Google is a tracking stock for the internet, buying ETH tokens is like believing that the Ethereum protocol will become the default protocol for financial applications. That's what it's backed by, is adoption rates of that protocol.
Boy, that guy's sharp. Now, I'm really hoping that this video does not have copyright stuff. I may talk a little bit over it just in case, because I want you to see it. This is about the Brics.
The Brics currency would be intended to become a rival for the euro, pound, and especially the US dollar, and would be adapted collectively by all of the Brics nations, which collectively account for 40% of the world's population. This would almost 40%. Immediately make Brics bucks the most used currency on the planet, meaning the US dollar would be used less and become even weaker. And this is where the final nail of the US dollar's coffin gets hammered in, because Brics is planning to use gold to make its future currency even more powerful. Gold. For the past few years, almost all the Brics nations have been stockpiling gold.
How concerned are you about the collapse of the U.S. dollar, sir?
It's the end of the dollar system. So the end is near for the U.S. dollar, and my concern is it's going to wipe out stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Just for my generation, the boomer generation, we're in serious trouble, because the only reason our stocks, bonds, mutual funds are up is because the Fed and the Treasury just kept printing more and more money.
I mean, COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
All right, I wanted you to see the part about the Brics. Now, let's move along. I want to show you this. This is from Gold Telegraph, CEO of Bank of America.
Bank of America for a real possibility of a default?
Oh, we have to be prepared for that, not only in this country, but in every other countries around the world. But you just hope it doesn't happen, but you can't. Hope's not a strategy, so you prepare for it. You get ready to make sure you have the liquidity, you have the setup. We have a lot of consumers who get paid by the government. We have to make sure that that's all set up for them, and the waivers on their payments and fees and things like that. That's what we do, as we do in a natural disaster or something else. And so I think, hopefully you've heard both sides say that the idea is not to shut down the government. The idea is to have a strong discussion about the question of how high the debt should be. We had to put on a lot of debt in the last couple of years to overcome the pandemic drag on the economy, and administrations from both sides of the aisle, so to speak, did that. And now it's at some point we got to start to figure out how that works in the future. But right now, we've got to get past the issues of just getting through the technical structure.
Sounds to me like you are, though.
So look, this is what they do every single time, just so you know. Every time we come close to the debt ceiling, it's like they're all playing a game. Oh no, it's a big political game. Then they eventually raise the debt ceiling. But the main point is that it's all a giant Ponzi scheme, and at some point the game's going to be up. And so those of us that are looking at it that way, we're sitting here going, well, what do I do for my family if the game's almost up? Because that's how we have to think. These people have put us in that position. But they always talk about the debt. But you know what nobody ever talks about? You know what nobody ever does? Nobody ever runs the math on how the United States would go about paying off this debt. So I went to ChatGPT, or ChatGPT. I said, can you show how the U.S. can pay off their debt using math? Okay. ChatGPT can answer questions like this. Now, they use an assumption here of that we've got 20 trillion. I think it's more like 30 trillion or more than that even. But we'll go with it. Let's assume the national debt's 20 trillion and the government wants to pay it off in 30 years. To do this, they need to come up with a plan to pay down the debt by 666 billion, more or less, per year. 20 trillion divided by 30 years. Assume the government has a balanced budget and not adding to the debt, which is not going on. The only way to pay down the debt if you assume that the budget is balanced in every one of 30 years, okay? The way to pay down the debt by 666, which interesting that they come up with that number, 666 billion per year, is to either one, increase government revenue by this per year through increased taxation and other means. Two, reduce government spending. Well, we know they're not going to do that. We know that this is the way that they want to do it, is taxing us. Okay, so the American people would get hit. In reality, it's unlikely that the debt will be paid off solely through one of these methods, and combination of both will likely be necessary. I haven't seen them being willing to spend less money. Additionally, there may be other factors that come into play, such as inflation, economic growth, or the creation of crypto. When is the last time the U.S. paid down the national debt? That's my next question to ChatGPT. When was the last time the U.S. paid down the national debt by 660 billion or more in 1 year? It's difficult to determine exactly the last time, So ChatGPT is kind of BSing me here. However, it's worth noting that the U.S. has run a budget surplus, meaning the government took in more revenue than it spent in only a few years since the end of World War II. The largest budget surplus, in other words, they're saying there was a surplus. They're not saying they paid down any debt. They're just saying there was a surplus. In recent years was 2000. So my follow-up question was, in what years has the U.S. run a budget surplus? The U.S. has run a budget surplus in the following years. This is since World War, I think it's in history, folks. 1998, 1999, 2000. These were the only years the U.S. has run a budget surplus in the past few decades. In other words, they've never paid down the debt, and they've only had a surplus for 3 freaking years. So, if you're like me, you're buying XRP and gold. So, that's why Glint's one of my sponsors. I keep talking about it because I buy physical gold, and I buy gold in my Glint account because it comes with a MasterCard debit card and I can spend it. I've never even heard of a company that has a product where you can do that before, until I found Glint and they became a sponsor. So, links in the top of the description to that. But this is the point here, folks. Not only is your money worthless, but they have to come up with a plan to roll us into a new system. And I believe that new system involves gold and XRP, as well as a few other of these digital assets. Now, speaking of ChatGPT, listen to what the CEO of ChatGPT says.
First it's going to come for the blue collar jobs, working in the factories, truck drivers, whatever. Then it will come for the kind of like the low skill white collar jobs. Then the very high skill, like really high IQ white collar jobs, like a programmer or whatever. And then very last of all, and maybe never, it's going to take the creative jobs.
Now, think about what he just said, last and maybe never at all. It'll take the creative jobs. You know what that reminds me of? Einstein has a quote where he says, imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination, this is the thing that humans have that no other animal has, is this ability to change our circumstances, to make decisions and alter our path forward. This is it, folks. Imagination is the key to everything. Creativity, being a creator, not a follower. So take that lesson, you young people out there that are seeing all of this transition right now. Never forget, folks, I've listened to things over my life, several things from people that think like that. There are many people that literally, some people call it different things. They might call it meditation or just thinking or whatever. But I encourage everybody out there, you young people that are setting out, start every day. Take 30 minutes with a piece of paper and a pencil and just think, because your imagination is everything. And you can have everything, but you got to use your imagination. Don't just follow the follower or follow the leader. Become the leader. Create your own reality. You can do it. But this stuff right here is kind of spooky. And I talk to my sons about this kind of stuff all the time. I like this, Dark Defender. He's talking about the 420 where David Schwartz was joking around about taking XRP private at $420. But he says something interesting here. XRP will rest on $256. This is what Fibonacci tells us. Now, he's a chart guy, so I thought that was interesting. I don't know why he thinks it will rest at 256, but I'll be down with it. I like it. I also like this tweet from Jack the Rippler. Top 5 cryptocurrencies for 2023. 1, XRP. 2, XRP. 3, XRP. 4, XRP. 5, XRP. And I agree. Just happen to agree with that. Crypto exchange Binance is temporarily suspending US dollar bank transfers starting on February 8th per CoinDesk. That's interesting. And so is this. I don't think I played this in the last video, but if I did, oh well. Mike Novogratz wants to punch Barry Silbert and Sam Bankman-Fried in the nose.
But there's still some beef brewing among the crypto titans. Bloomberg's Sonali Bosick is joining us now with more on that. Sonali, you wrote a great profile of Mike Novogratz of Galaxy Digital last week, and the quote is essentially that he would like to punch both Sam Bankman-Fried and Barry Silbert in the jaw.
That is certainly what happened. The rest of the quote was along the lines of how his daughter wouldn't approve of something like that anymore. It's toxic masculinity baked in. He doesn't seem like a violent person at all. You know, it's the wrestling vibe you get from Mike Novogratz. He said he's gearing up to fight again.
Oh, me. And this made me laugh today. XRP Productions, who does do parody. I hope XRP becomes the world reserve currency so that the doctors and my family will finally let me out of this institution. I know how XRP Productions feels. I know that people get scared and upset when the markets are down, but I've been in this since 2013. I feel your pain, but I choose optimism, folks. I always look at the glass half full myself. I focus on opportunities, try to make sure I've protected myself, have plenty of cash, and then buy those dips is what I do. But I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that XRP, the Standard Productions, is ready to get out of his institution.